My name is Cedar. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Lee County. And I welcome you all here tonight and commend you for being here. Look for you for being active participants in your local government. The League of Women Voters welcome all persons, men and women, age 18 or above. And we invite you to check out any information you might be interested in on that table if you haven't seen that already. Part of our educational effort in our community is this series of forums, and we're glad that you are here. I want to tell you a little bit about how the forum will be organized tonight. We have 3 candidates with us tonight, and we have drawn the list to see which candidate will go first. Our candidates will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, 1 minute for each corresponding to each question, 2 minutes for a closing statement, and we have some very fine-tuned members in the front row who will help us stay on track. We also have some folks who are sorting questions for us. They will be sorting your questions. If you have a question that you would like to ask one of the candidates, we just ask that you raise your hand, and the lead member will bring it to paper and a pencil if you need it. Write your question and then pull the question up. The lead member will take the question and give it to our sorter. Our sorter sort questions for 3 factors. First of all, the questions must be issue related. We would never ask a personal question or a question not relevant to city issues. And that's our second factor. Our issues need to be city related. Sometimes folks get really interested in the topic that's really a state or national topic, and tonight we're talking about city topics. We also sort questions for things like justification and that kind of thing. So questions for keep on track. We have a couple of housekeeping things to think about. Restrooms, if you go right out the door, turn left and follow the sign, you'll find the restroom. If you like me, you are always forgetting to turn off your cell phone. So here's the reminder to turn off your cell phone or anything for that. If you can't hear during the forum, please let us know that. There will be no response from the public from all of you during the forum. This is not a time for applause and cheering. This is a time for business and that we'll be doing tonight. I think I've already covered the questions, so I believe we're ready to go. So we will start with the person who drew question for number 1. Our first opening statement will be made by Mr. Chu.
Good evening. It's been a pleasure for me to be the representative for District 1 and the citizens of Cedar Rapids over the course of the last 8 years. I'm a certified public accountant, and that experience, along with my background as a Parks and Recreation professional in the past, provides me with a unique background that helps with aid in decision-making for the City Council. I'm seeking re-election to work on campaign priorities that I set up 4 years ago, really actually 8 years ago, and have made some modifications to those based upon the flood. First of all, economic development. We need to continue to develop an environment and culture where businesses want to locate here. We need to help grow new businesses so we can have those headquartered businesses here, create more high-paying jobs. Quality of life is another component. Granted, good jobs are one part of quality of life, but having amenities and safe neighborhoods and communities is also important. Fiscal responsibility is my responsibility as a CPA and a financial consultant for a number of businesses in our community. It's important, and those skill sets are of value to help me with issues that the City Council has coming up, balancing needs in one against property taxes and pressure on them. I put together a long-term financial plan, and that's worked for the city to help make decisions over the course of the last 8 years. Collaboration and communication. We need to continue to work on business implementation of processes and improvements to make the city the most effective and efficient operation possible. We need to continue to collaborate with the state and federal government to help put together a long-term permanent flood protection system. I continue to communicate with citizens through my district meetings every quarter and my council conference
We'll begin now with the questions. There'll be more questions, and we'll begin with Mr. Cedar. The first question is about campaign. It's more like a general question that, as a candidate, what do you think about the rules that govern the campaign times, and the person particularly by placement on lawns, when they need to be used, and what do you think about campaign time?
There are specific regulations that are the city ordinances restricting the use of signs, and there's some restrictions that are state-driven by the state code of ethics. My understanding is that if you have subsidized data, you can have a sign in your yard, but not in the right away of the yard. It needs to be of a certain size, and if it's of a certain size, you have to have endorsement of whoever who's paying for it. And we're talking about campaign signs, so I think that because a lot of these signs, besides campaign signs, also apply for other signage and neighborhoods as well. But there are regulations specifically for those. You can't also put it on business property. It has to be an individual or specifically something. Businesses can't do it unless it's a ballot issue. It's important that they can have information at the same time.
Thank you.
I can't imagine any better answer than that. We got an expert here.
Thank you, Mr. Cedar.
I've worked on a lot of campaigns and I know rules.
Okay, thank you. Our next question goes to Mr. Vicky as our first responder. This question asks about the sales tax. Do you support the sales tax extension? And there's a kind of a part two. What percentage has gone to club business, or maybe you want to tell us how you might apportion the sales?
Okay. As far as the vote that's coming out, I would vote for it. But I have a letter to the Gazette that will be published soon that explains this position of mine quite precisely. In 1 minute, let's see what we can do. I believe we need to build a levee, and we need to build a levee soon. And part of that flood protection needs to come from upstream. That's one of my emphases in my campaign. But to take the sales tax and to devote it to roads and to limit it to roads, if that hinders our ability to pay for the levy ourselves, we're making a mistake. So I would hope we could have council and hold itself accountable with the money and can build both roads and a levy. We've got to have the money, we've got to build a levy. That 10%, or the argument and the frustration about the allocation, we don't have time to go into that, but it's really sad. I don't think that too is.
Thank you, Mr. Cedar.
Thank you. I think one of the key components is to understand the magnitude of the need for the streets. I've done the math on it, and it's significant in terms of the amount of dollars that need to be dedicated towards streets. If we assume that we're going to replace a 40-year letter street every year because it's going to live that long, we're talking about $30 to $50 million worth of cost to be able to do rehab and construction of the streets that we have in terms of what we need for our community. Sales tax is the method to do that. It provides other users, those people that don't pay property taxes in the city, provide some of those sources of the revenues because they're using those streets, they're taking advantage of those streets, and we need to make sure that citizens don't have to pay entirely on their own here in Cedar Rapids, but they're actually able to share some of that with other sources.
Thank you, Mr. Cedar.
I looked up the street budget, it's like $11.4 million, and I added all the
people on that committee, I know them well, I watched the process. They did not have a continuity of being team members and working together. And that would have been very helpful, because you go along in the process and somebody disagrees, and so, but on this abatement, I spoke several times to the council. One of the things I'm trying to emphasize is that better housing inspection would improve the quality of and value of houses in the core, and the increase in the value of those houses would be the property tax paid for the inspection. View of that important aims to have a variable rate housing inspection, which is a program that's committed to keeping the threat out of core neighborhoods. We need it.
I think we need community involvement. Some of these people that I've heard that are in, in violation of this nuisance abatement are elderly people who don't have a way to clean up their yards. So maybe we should have more community involvement. And I believe we do need a housing commission. We have one through the community development department that I've never heard like that.
Thank you. Ms. Dittmar, you are the first person to respond to this question. This person is also talking about an abatement. This person is speaking about noise abatement. What role does the city have in noise abatement, particularly along 380? What's your position on noise abatement along 380?
I don't know if the city has any jurisdiction about the noise on the 380. I do know that I've had the city go after a noise party that was in violation and nothing was done. But I definitely don't know what to handle that.
Okay.
Well, one approach would be to contact the state DOT to find out what issues there are there. One of the problems, the challenges you have with noise abatement is identifying who it is that's causing the problem and being there when it actually occurs and being able to measure and determine how loud the noise is. That's one of the challenges with noise specifically. But there's things that can be done. At least working with the DOT, and certainly there's regulations I think that the police department still has authority over. But it's very difficult. It's a very difficult challenge because of the nature of the fact that you have to be there when the noise is actually occurring.
Thank you.
I think Chris's answer was excellent on that. I've got other things that I don't have enough time to talk about, so I'll save the time. Thanks.
Mr. Ricky, the next question will start with you. Let's talk about the casino for a little bit. If we do get some funds from the casino, this person is interested in knowing whether that money will be used for streets. That lets enlarge the question. If we do end up getting money from the casino, how would you use those proceeds?
Okay, I have a letter to the editor in the casino, and casinos are not good economic development in my estimation. It's really tough because that's the way things are happening in Iowa, and the revenue sharing is inadequate. We've got too many people losing their money in Riverside and paying money.
size